episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. And tonight, my friends, or tomorrow morning, I'll probably post this tomorrow, we're going to do a special one because I just realized, and it took me a little while to kind of put the numbers together, but I realized this is the third year that we're going to start tomorrow of no FAP and no releasing, things like that. And we're at 3 years, and it's nice to kind of reflect back on it. So we won't do any shout outs, we won't do any kind of ideas, and so that type of stuff. Let's kind of talk about that a little bit in this episode, and I'll give you my reflections of things and why it's important to do all this, and I think my journey a little bit, just to kind of give you an idea of the reflections of the last 3 years and how it's changed my life a lot. And hopefully it gives you a little bit of impetus to kind of see how important this battle we are in lasts. So let me kind of go back a little bit for those who may have not been with this channel. So we've been doing this now, the channel, for about a year and almost 2 years. I think it's August 6th or 9th, something like that. And this is the third year of this journey. So it took about a year or so for me to actually start doing these type of videos and things on YouTube, basically talking about my experiences and why I waited, for a long time. And the idea didn't come through as obviously, I felt that I wasn't strong enough, at least experience-wise, to give enough experience until after almost a year of this journey that I was on. And the second thing, honestly, is I did not have the really strength or the courage to actually kind of do something like this. I never thought I would be doing this and talking to so many people. Our subscriptions are up to almost 3,000, which is just phenomenal, unbelievable to me. And all kinds of great views and likes. You guys are tremendous. And so I feel very blessed to be on this journey to try to help fellow warriors in the audience to try to kind of see how important this is and see why we're the 1% Club. And I keep getting reminded this every day by men and women who make you stand out, and they tell you certain things, and you see the old mentality of how things are. And I think this is one of the things that I've come to appreciate with this whole change of a lifestyle that I've done over the last 3 years. And really, it's a lifestyle change. For many, many years, I felt like I was making impact on certain things. My goal had been to try to get closer to God as the years went on, because I had gone through situations where I had trouble within my childhood and other things that happened, and I needed to have some kind of hope and a savior to me to help me through the years. And so through that, I wanted to kind of touch closer to God. I also wanted to become the best person I could become. And so I did a lot of reading, and I wanted to kind of live a long life. And I had played football and kind of destroyed my body in many ways back in high school and college back in the old days. And around 34, 35 years old, I was at the point where it was very hard for me to walk. It was hard for me to get any kind of in my skin, I had eczema, all kinds of different things, all kinds of different issues that I had health-wise that I knew at that age. And I was just having a little one at the time, and then just gotten married, and a lot of stress with jobs and things like that. And this was back in 1997, 1998. And so, I said, I need to find an answer to this, because I want to live a long, happy, prosperous life, as the Lord talks about. And so I went through the process of trying to figure this out, and looking at all different types of things, and looking at different religions even, talking about Christianity, which I had been in for, all those years. And then I, found things like Brahmacharya, Buddhism, Sufism, a lot of those type of things I looked at. And the one thing that stood out to me was things that talked about ideas of the Eastern world. And so I looked at those ideas, and I've come across, and it was just like blind luck, I found a book at a Goodwill that we had gone to my wife and I like to travel to different places and kind of go to, find, kind of, search for objects and things like that, and in thrift stores and antique stores and Goodwill places and things like that. And so we had moved to the area that we're living in, and we went to the Goodwill, and I happened to find on the bookshelves, it was a 1985 version, and so I bought it, and I started reading it, and it was about the Tibet priests and the monks in Tibet, and before the Chinese took them over, and they were talking about this book, and this book by was Kelder, and Fountain of Youth. And so I looked at this book and I said, okay, this is something I want to use. Now, whether or not I agreed with it or not at the time, I didn't think it was really real. I didn't think there was any kind of effect to it. And so I read over all throughout the whole book, and I came to 5 exercises plus one other type of exercise that I kind of ignored for many, many years. And I did the exercises, and I started doing those in 1998. And as time went on, I started to, see the effects of that slowly. And what happened was, and now in retrospect, the chakras start to spin, and you don't age. It's like you're going backwards a little bit, but it's almost like you're stopping time. You're not aging as quickly, according to what we understand as far as what the book and all these other things have said. And so basically what happens is that you're trying to stay younger. And so, as you guys have mentioned, I look younger, from what you guys and other people have told me over the years, than 62, which I'll be in at the end of the month. And so that has kind of helped over the years. But the one rite, and the rite, and they call it rite, they mentioned in the book, the one rite that I did not do was the 6th one. And it kind of talked about the fact that Keller talks about the fact that you have to go ahead and use celibacy. You cannot have sex. And of course I was married, so that would be crazy. Why would I do that? And so I kind of ignored that one for many, many years. And once my kids got older and we had our children, and we're at the point where 1998, I decided, okay, I said, okay, 1998, I had all these years, and now about 3 years ago, I said, okay, I'm not getting the full effects of this that I want. Yes, I am looking younger, but I still had a lot of stress. I had a lot of anxiety. I had a lot of things that were happening to me that I just did not want to have happen. I had very little confidence level. I didn't have the attraction, flattery types of things of people talking to me, the opportunities, all those things didn't happen to me. And it was mainly because I was having trouble with releasing and all that sort of thing we've talked about. And so the reason why I ended up then going to the 6th rite, saying, okay, I'm at 59 years old. I said, I need to do something extreme. And that in my mind, that's extreme, because all you do is hear on TV and internet and all those type of things that basically you need to release. It's something that's healthy for you. All these type of things that you could talk about, you can find all over the internet through all the scientists and all the scientific data you want to find. But I said, for me, this was not working. That was not the way to go. In fact, I felt weaker all the time and more problems all the time. And I felt I was going so much in the other direction that who knows how long I was going to live. And so I finally said, okay, that's it. Today is the day I start, and I'm never going to look back. And yes, there's been lots of times, ups and downs. Monk mode, of course. I've broken monk mode. I still struggle with monk mode, so I'm still working through that. But as far as releasing and NoFap and that kind of stuff, fortunately, we've been at now 1,090 days, so that's about 3 years to tomorrow. And it's been a tremendous journey for me, a tremendous journey. And I realized a lot more of myself, and I've gotten a lot closer to God so far. My goal is to try to reach 12, and the reason I reached 12 is I've read many different types of biographies, autobiographies, different people who've talked about the fact that if they have retention for a number of years, especially 12 years, they get closer to God. And I really want that, and so that's something I'm going to achieve for. And I can see it happening little by little now. I feel a lot more inward on things I'm not, I'm not close to being stressed out anymore. I don't have the kind of anger I used to have before. I don't have the, I don't have the, and we talk about it all the time. I don't have the type of insecurities, the anxiousness. I know God. I trust God, and so God will take care of situations, and I feel a lot more confident. And as a result of that, I get a lot more opportunities, and a lot of opportunities, especially in business opportunities and making money and those type of things. And of course, you get people liking you, and this happens all the time. And so I think the question then becomes is that you have to kind of realize, why are you not doing this? And obviously, we have a lot of things in society pushing back and saying, okay, you're crazy. You're going to get sick. You're not going to, you're not going to make it. You're going to have a lot of illnesses and things like that. Well, that's one of the things that's a tremendous benefit, is that I haven't been ill. I haven't actually been sick since I started the Keller stuff. Maybe twice. Twice. I was out sick from work since 1998. Now, before that, I had a lot of it. But once that started happening, all of a sudden changed. And so I would highly recommend, and some people are doing it right now, I think, Chang and a few other people reading the book. And you see the effect of the book, because it goes back to the chakras in the middle of your body. And all those exercises, especially in the sixth rite, which is the transmutation of sexual energy, those things are all very important. And I think this is why we talk about this importance, and why I feel very strongly after 3 years that you have to continue. Your voice sounds deeper. You guys probably noticed that since I've started this 2 years ago, how my voice has changed. Obviously, looks wise, you guys think I still look like, at the worst 45, 50 years old. So that's still about 10-year difference. And at the best, some people feel like early 40s, late 30s. And that doesn't really matter to me. It is indicated to me that it is an indication that this is working. And I think that's the key to it. Because I will tell you, warriors, I feel like I'm 25 years old. I have the energy of that. Now, do I take naps? Do I do different things? Yes, of course I do regularly, because I get up at 3:30 in the morning. And so I still kind of do those type of things to make sure I get a lot of stuff during the day. And the short, quick naps, power naps, I still do. But the thing is that sleep is important, but also you're getting all these benefits that I didn't have before. And this is why it works. And of course, we don't talk about the attraction one, because in my case, it's all very flattering and nice. And the female attention I'm getting now is just ridiculous. Ridiculous compared to the way that I was before. And I'm a married warrior, and all those type of things. But the confidence level you walk around with, the direct eye contact you see, and these women who are just giving you direct eye contact, like they want you, it's unbelievable to you. But this is where the self-control comes in. As I was talking to somebody recently, talking about this, is that female attraction is great, and there's a lot of females out there who are looking for men, because they need real men. And this is where you've got to step up. If you're not with somebody and you want to attract women, this is where this type of retention becomes important. It makes you more of a man, because you're holding on to things you should be holding on to. Your vitamins, your nutrients, things like that. You're not releasing to all kinds of crazy stuff. You're becoming stronger, but you're becoming the male. And we joke about this, because back, and I think people have always done this, of course, but I think there was less of it when you didn't have pornography and things out there like this. Now it's a little different type of situation. You have almost everybody doing it. So that's why we talk about the 1% of people who are not doing it, right? Those are the people who look the most attractive. So you have all these people who have all what I call simping behaviors out there. They're desperate because they can't control themselves when it comes to the releasing, and they're not going to control any kind of situation, so they're out of control, and it turns women off right away. So we talk about all these advantages that I've seen over the years. Now, in my case, it's a very flattering type of thing. I don't have an intention of trying to have all kinds of affairs and things like that, because I think part of the responsibility is knowing what you're getting into. And of course, if you're sitting there and having all sorts of other situations, other women around you, then you're not achieving your goals. And the goals are really the key things. That's what sets you apart, warriors, is going through God's purpose and figuring out, what am I doing with all this? Which is sexual transmutation of energy. What am I doing with this? And this is the key. So I was challenging the person, what is the real purpose of all these women contacting you? What are you trying to get from all this? And I think he was a young person, so he was in his 20s. And so, he had to you got to think about that a little bit. And I said, that's the whole key to it. Yeah, it's nice to have power and control and this type of feeling that everybody wants you. But what are you really accomplishing here? And I said, I go back to the old type of thing I talk about. Unless you're sitting there and procreating and having children with somebody that you're going to kind of raise those children, help with those children, then what are you really accomplishing? And I think that's the key to a lot of it. Yes, we need companionship. All those things are good. But it doesn't necessarily mean you have to release all the time to do all that kind of stuff. You could have intimacy without releasing all the time. Whether it's holding hands, whether it's just, hugging or things like that. You don't need to have all the other stuff if you choose not to do that. And this is where we talk about the fact of what is the purpose. Every person in your life should have some sort of purpose as far as you go. Now, I may sound like a cold-blooded type of warrior here when it comes to business-like attitudes, but everything has costs and rewards. Is this person in your life that's with you, do they have more rewards than costs? That's what it should be. And that's how you should look at all situations. It's almost like investing. Yes, I know I love my children, but they're investments to me too. You put money, give money for them to grow, and they succeed, they have children, they succeed, all this stuff. I think I spent more than $1 million on education for the children, right? All the way through college. That's an investment, just like another type of investment would be. You're investing time. Don't waste your time. As somebody the other day was talking about this, and they were saying, you're killing time. And I think it's a great analogy. You're killing time. What are you doing? Killing time. You're not achieving anything. You're killing time. So the key, my friends, is to look at this. So over 3 years here, as a kind of summary, I know we're going a little bit long on this, but I felt I'd kind of give my reflections here. I think it's important to understand that, at least in my opinion, this is a life-changing type of choice you're making. And you guys are kind of in that situation where you're doing, 90 days, 60 days, you're not too sure, it's hard to control. I was there for 47 years, back and forth. It's not an easy decision. But the bottom line is, the longer you're off of it with your habits you're forming, all of a sudden now you're focusing on you. And all these people can come around you and do things, but the bottom line is that should not be important. And yes, you're going to drive them more crazy, especially the women, because you're not paying attention to them. You're not validating them, and so they want you more. But I always remember this thing I saw with the lion. And the lion is a perfect example of this. The lion was sitting there in this picture, and the lion was just observing and making sure everything's run smoothly in that area that the lion was in. And these female lions were kind of moving around, trying to get the attention of the lion. The lion would not give them the attention. The lion would sit there and just say, I'm busy doing my job here. And the females would be basically just jumping on the male and sitting there jumping on the legs and things like that and not letting go. Because they wanted the attention so bad, and the lion would focus on what's important. And not that female attention and companionship is not important, but it's not the priority of the lion. And it shouldn't be you priority either, warriors. The highest priority is for your God, your creator, and the purpose you're achieving. All right, my friends, well, some reflections. I want to thank you guys for 3 years. Helping with 3 years, because I made it for 3 years, and hoping that we continue these broadcasts. I did figure out how to do streaming, so I'm going to kind of put a date out there pretty soon. Probably another few weeks we'll do a streaming one, and we'll try it and see. I can do it on my phone, actually. One of the things I'm trying to do in the future here is trying to, over the summer, buy some equipment I'm not going to quite monetize the channel, of course, yet, not for a long time. I figured that I may do it when I get, up to 10,000 or something like that, but I'll make a choice at some point. Right now, my key thing is trying to get the information across. At some point, I may need to try to bring some money in to better my equipment, things like that, and maybe go to computers and go to somewhere where I can actually have cameras and things like that. But that's a long time in the future. Right now, I want to kind of focus on getting this out. And the streaming, I think, is the next part of it. And I think some people talked about coaching as well. I'll probably put myself out there for people who want to help with coaching and need help in questions and what I can do. I'm not an expert on this, but I certainly have my experiences. I can kind of share those as we go along. So, all right, my friends. Sorry for the long one on this one, but I figured that this was a kind of a celebration in some ways, and I feel like that we're getting closer and closer. We're only about 9 years now, and I figured, well, I didn't think I was going to go 3 years, but we're at 3 years, and so we only have 9 to go, and we'll continue the rest of our lives with this. I think it's tremendous. And like I said, we've talked about things like wet dreams and things like that. There's so many times that you release, and those things are going to happen to the best of us, But the question really is what type of lifestyle are you doing? Are you using, are women, for example, are women in pictures, are these primarily in your lifestyle, or have they been subjugated to now a second or third role? And those things should not be something that's important to you right now. You should be focusing on your goals, achieving things, and making yourself the best possible man you can become under God, because the world needs us. Guys, the world, men, warriors, the world needs us. They need to protect the world, provide for the world, and nowadays, like I said, with 99% of the people out there simping behaviors and just desperate for women, desperate to please women they can, you got to have man standing out. The men have to rise up and defend our country, defend our cities, defend our families, our women, all those type of things. All right, my friends, 2 things I always leave you with. 1, every day is a new day to a great warrior. And number 2, guys, the battle cries out there. We continue to say, battle!